Hello, Sofa Squad, and welcome back to the sofa. That's the sofa. That's my dog Roscoe. My name's Paul. Now today we're going to be doing a little bit of a different format, okay? A little bit of a different type video. Today we are going to be discussing something long awaited, something much requested. We are going to be discussing, we're going to be analyzing, we're going to be reading Chad Daybell's love letter, romance novel, pure cringe show, whatever you want to call it, that he wrote to Lori. Now there's a big document dump in this case, and part of that was this right here. Now this is broken into what they call chapters. I wouldn't even necessarily say it's a typical chapter from a book because they're pretty short, and again it's like a text message type thing. So here's what's gonna be happening today. We're going to read like just chapter 1 and go through this. I'm going to kind of analyze it. I'll stop along the way and be like, here's some commentary. Now, if you just want to read the whole thing, I'm going to link the article down below. And so you can read the whole thing with all the information on it. So there's that. So just keep in mind, again, I'm just going to be stopping and doing that. So, you know, that's how it's going to go. And that's it. Now, before we get started, if you like scary movie reviews during this time of year especially, be sure to check out my scary movie review channel. It's called A Slice of Spice and a Dice. It's free, it's new, give it a shot. Also, if you want to see other stuff by me, more like, you know, personal stuff, story times, Florida Man headlines, things of that nature, consider joining Patreon or channel membership. You can also support the channel by doing that. And lastly, but certainly not least, is I want to thank you and everybody who makes the Sofa Squad possible. It would not be here without you. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you for making the squad the place to be. Now, here's how we're going to do the video. I have my laptop, bang, 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 right here, and I'm going to be reading from it and, you know, kind of doing this. The reason I see it's a little bit different format because usually I try and constantly look at the camera and talk, so this is going to throw me off a little bit, I'm not going to lie, and I'm trying to get it to where the microphone does good and all this stuff, so we're going to try this. Y'all let me know how it goes over with the squad. So, again, this is some correspondence between Chad and Lori. Now, we're going to start off right here where it says on 7/13/2019 at 22:08 hours. I don't know what time that is. Chad sent Lori the following message. I'm heading to bed so that I can come snuggle tightly against you. It puts the lotion on its skin, or it gets the portal again. I'm just joking, it didn't say that, but I just felt the need to talk in that voice and reference that movie. Extra points for you Sofa Squad members who know what I'm talking about, but let's get serious here. Okay, so it really wasn't that date, but this is actually what it says, and I will try to do normal voice here, but I can't help but go into my character voices, especially when I'm dealing with Chad, so just bear with me. Okay, so, I'm headed to bed so that I can come snuggle tightly against you. I adore you. You are truly my best friend on earth and throughout eternity. See you in a minute. Now, they know that this was dated prior to Tammy Daybell's death. This is the part of this all jokes aside that really, I mean, obviously the death is, you know, all jokes aside. This particular part, when I sit here and envision Chad and Lori talking to each other, going over all this stuff, and Tammy Daybell completely not knowing what's going on. Other people, this is going on too. Obviously, I'm not just trying to isolate it to saying just Tammy. You know, but when you read this stuff like this, it absolutely just sends fire ants through my bloodstream. I think it's so sad, and I just think it's so deceitful of these monsters, the way they treated and took advantage of their family and those that loved them, and ultimately took all their lives. So now in the report, the investigator does note, you know what, this story seems to take place between Chad and Lori. However, the names were changed to James and Alina, and he sent her a bunch of like text messages all throughout, and so there's that. So let's begin with this cringe fest. You already know, fasten your damn sofa seatbelt. Y'all, we're going to get a real seatbelt here that we can pull out for things like this, because there's some cringe that's so damn painful, we have to literally buckle in, because we'll be all over the damn place. Crash landed, no survivors. I mean, that kind of cringe. So, okay, Friday morning, October 26th, driving south on the freeway, a voice said, You will meet an extraordinary woman today who will change your life forever. My God, that didn't age well. This was shocking, since such a thing seemed very unlikely at this conference. It is actually a very detailed story that began long ago in another world. And I will cover that part as I go along and the characters figure things out. But on the morning of October 26th, James arrived in St. George, still a bit baffled by the message he had received. He unloaded his books and set up his table, then joined the organizers for a dinner in the main room. Now let's pause for 1 second. One thing that I find just extra cringy is, so this is like some kind of love story romance novel. How integrated into this is selling books. Like, it's a turn on for him, okay? It just adds that whole other layer where I'm like, ugh, like, who made these people? He saw his friend MG, who had been so helpful to him when he spoke in Mesa that July. MG introduced James to her friend Alina. When their hands touched, he felt a shock pass through him, and his heart started beating fast. Alina was gorgeous and vivacious, and James was a little intimidated, yet honored that she would talk to him. He was happily surprised when she mentioned a key part of his novel, the renewed Earth. No one had ever recognized the significance of that scene before. He had heard that voice before and seen that smile before. He felt they had even talked like this before. But who could be certain when? Let's pause for a second. Okay, so that whole part about, she talked about the book and da-da-da-da. I mean, this is like legit, okay? You already know that Lori was working her manipulative plan and she was going through the book. She already knew how she was going to do that. And he was just so like, well, hum-dum-da-dum, so narcissistic and so flattered, that she recognized some of his dribble, okay? That's the part that I'm just like, oh my gosh. And then this whole thing about, oh, we've talked to another plane, all that. I mean, he legitimately thinks this stuff. Okay, I mean, I would venture to say this isn't even, I wouldn't even call it like fiction. Okay, I don't even know why he bothered changing the names. Anyways, let's continue. It was strange, but he could remember. The feelings were very strong, as if they had known each other oh so long. They didn't get many chances to talk after that because he had to help voice a woman's blue Muppet. I'm sorry, y'all. I don't mean to keep stopping. That part gets me every time. And whenever I'm just like, why would you put that in there? Okay? Why would you say that? I had to go voice a woman's blue Muppet. I mean, really? That's what we're dealing with here. Okay? That's what we're dealing with. Anyways, here we go. But he watched her every chance he could. He had to stay at a relative's house that night, but he hardly slept. He kept envisioning himself with Alina in very wonderful situations that indicated they had been more than just friends. That's like a really creepy, sus way of saying that he was having like, what kind of dreams about her, okay? That's what that was. That's how he said that. It's sad and it's tearful. Let's continue. James was the first speaker on Saturday morning and knew exactly where Alina was sitting. He made sure to mention the scene from his book that they had discussed the previous evening. He was completely smitten by her and even was nervous of what she would think of his talk as he spoke. But when he would glance at her, she was always attentive and watching him, unlike the rest of the crowd. Okay, again, I think it's funny that he does call, like, it's normalized to him that he's going to call it like, yeah, people are snoozing, nobody cares. But there's Lori. I can see her now in the crowd of everyone on their phones or whatever, and she's like, just that awkward, like, pick me energy that she was serving, 100% going on. We saw it in that cringy Hallmark movie or Lifetime, whatever it was, same thing. We saw all this already. You know that's how it went down. Just 100% like manipulation on her part, and he was lapping it up like a thirsty dog in the bowl. After his talk, he went to his book table. His talk had gone well, and there was a good group gathered around to buy books. His heart nearly leaped out of his chest when Elena joined him and helped sell the books. She was so beautiful that he could hardly concentrate on the customers. Now, when I envision this, I'm thinking there's like 3 to 4 people around the table. And that was probably like, okay, who's going to bag them? Who's going to ring them up? I've got to sign. I've got to talk to the fans. Again, the fact that he integrates that into the the vibe going on here is just extra creepy. She straightened the books and gave the books good reviews. Although she made him laugh a lot when she kept pushing the youth and fifth volumes of his first series, he could only giggle when people asked if she was his wife, because yes, in fact, she was. She just didn't know it yet. I would venture to say she probably did. This bizarre thing that happened between these two. And again, poor Tammy. Poor Tammy is at home while this absolute filth is going on, okay? And that's just... I don't even know why the word filth came to my mind. It just does, okay? James was definitely having amorous feelings toward Lena as they sold books together. He had not felt this happy in his entire life. He was quite sure this was the woman the voice had told him about. James was ecstatic because he had already fallen deeply in love with her. Or better said, he remembered how much he already loved her. And again, this is my thing. Poor Tammy. I mean, really, you know, just this is pathetic. And again, the books all mixed in with it. I mean, it's almost dirty. You know, it's just so sad. Her eyes had mesmerized him from the moment they met. But once the book sales slowed down, she stood near him behind the table. They looked deeply into each other's eyes for the first time, and he knew he was in the presence of a goddess. He resisted an impulse to kiss her, but his entire body was on fire. He instinctively knew she was everything he had ever dreamed of. Now again, this goes back to my theory. Y'all, he was like obsessed with her. To him, this was like, he can't believe a chick like this wants to be with him or was even talking to him, okay? He was going to tell her anything she wanted to hear. He was going to have fortunes and do all this stuff because you can't have a normal conversation. You know what I'm saying? Like, that couldn't be normal. And I guess one thing too that goes on, I'm thinking to myself out loud now, is the fact that there's probably this whole thing of being like, well, we have to maintain our image with like the church and stuff like that, but then also this bizarre thing of like him wanting to be this, I mean, I would say like a godlike figure, I don't know, and then whatever bizarre stuff she's serving, I mean, it was just nuclear dynamite when all of this collided. Let's continue. I must clarify that James is a very difficult person to get information from. He has been blessed with a great knowledge, but 99% of the people he knows do not realize that. He is very guarded, and it is a great task to gain his trust. But as Alina leaned forward him and asked a couple of very insightful questions, his heart burst with joy. He knew she was one of the very few people on earth he could trust. So I also love the fact that he's basically like, look, I know everything, okay? And basically like 99% of the people that know me don't know that I know everything except for her, okay? Yeah. That right there tells me, imagine if this is somebody thinking out loud what they think of themselves, and it's not anything humble. It's like when they tell you, you're like, wow, you're a really horrible human being. This is even before we get to the stuff they did, okay? James' spirit was so excited at the revelation that he shattered a thick veil that had been placed between these two souls during their mortal lives. There were veil juices everywhere. I'm just joking. It didn't say the veil juice thing, but I've just felt like it needed that in there. But let's continue. The thick veil had been placed because of the thick, juicy veil had been placed because of the unique, unparalleled love James and Lena had shared in previous lifetimes. That veil had prevented them from finding each other until this appointed day that would be remembered throughout the heavens as the true beginning of a spectacular mission that would save millions of souls and defeat the forces of darkness. Okay, this is to all my people out there who might have a little bit of like low self-esteem. Most of us do. The way these people think of themselves, he thinks he's writing the second damn Bible. I mean, honestly, starring him and Lori, that's what blows my mind. I'm like, my God, I beat myself up over, you know, having a little bit of a stomach or something. And I'm like, these people have no problem aligning themselves with the next coming of Christ. James' physical attraction to Elena was almost overwhelming, but he was equally drawn to the spiritual energy that was radiating, pulsating from her. As they talked, it was confirmed to him that they had indeed been married before and were eternal companions. I mean, again, we don't even need to call this fiction, y'all. This is legit how this all went down, okay? He had glimpses of them walking dusty paths together, and he realized they had been married during the life of Jesus Christ, and they had been very close to him. Again, I go back to this where I'm like, I beat myself up over little stuff, and these people are talking about they've walked with Jesus Christ himself. I mean, I wish I could have that level of confidence, but also I think it's just like a whole bunch of like bad mojo, because I just feel like anyone who's going to be this blasphemy level right here is just, it's not good. At this time, their spirits could not be restrained any longer, and a long-awaited make-out session took place in that lobby. This was manifest in the mortal world to James and Alina through the scientific phenomenon known as loin fire. First of all, let's make out session. I mean, you know, these are grown adults. I think they're older than me. Okay, but can we just circle back around to loin fire? I mean, we might need to brand this word. I mean, my God, I can't believe this. I'm embarrassed. They have to be flipping out. I mean, I surely he is sitting in jail right now. Like, I can't believe they published the text message about the loin fire. As they talked, James had a burning desire to make love to her, but he wasn't sure she felt the same way. But they could not stay away from each other. One time she was sitting in a couch near his table, and he took a seat on a chair about 5 feet from her. She began to squirm and covered her body with her hands, and she asked him, "What are you doing?" He wasn't aware of what she meant. All he knew was that if Bruce Porter hadn't been giving them an evil eye, a child would have been conceived on that couch. The erotic tension continued throughout the afternoon. James could only think of her. His desire for her was indescribable. Thankfully, she had worn 16 layers of clothing to survive the 80-degree weather, so he was not fully aware that she truly had the body of a goddess. Her dimensions were exactly what he always fantasized about, but that revelation would have to wait a month. Y'all, I mean, just the way he describes things, like a baby would have been conceived from that couch. Who says that? I mean, honestly, who said that? That's creepy, okay? Like, can you imagine somebody whispering that in your ear? Like, hey, baby, if it wasn't for those 16 layers of clothing, baby, I'd conceive a baby with you on that sofa. I mean, I'm just like, oh my God. No wonder he had to do this whole, like, I'm a god thing to get girls. I mean, I think that's all he had going for him, okay? I really do think that's what he had going for him. Anyways, let's keep going. As the night concluded, James needed to take his empty boxes to his car, and with Alina's help, he had sold more books at a show than he ever had before. We're talking maybe 10 or 12, y'all. She helped him carry the boxes to his car, and then he could not resist the desire to hug her. He made an awkward attempt that was way too brief, because their friends were bringing more boxes. In that short embrace, though, he knew he had found the woman he had searched for his entire life. It was made crystal clear to him that they had been married before and would begin again. He, once again, had to fight off a powerful urge to kiss her and somehow disguise the massive aversion he was experiencing. I mean, y'all, I didn't know that was in there. I mean, that's awful. That's so, I mean, I can't, I mean, if somebody sent that to me, I would be so embarrassed for him. That's all I can think. I would be so embarrassed for him. They returned to the building and he helped carry tables to the second floor while she sat on the couch. They couldn't take their eyes off of each other. He was already madly in love. Her group of friends finally had to leave. He was devastated, unused how he would ever contact her again. Then her spirit took over and asked him, "Can I get your cell phone number in case I have questions?" They exchanged numbers and then they gave each other a hug goodbye. It was the most wonderful, electric, delicious hug he had ever felt. Then he watched her walk away knowing she was truly going to change his life forever. End of chapter 1. Again, that last line did not age well. I bet he's sitting up in jail real PO'd right now. He rode home with the damn radio off that day, I'll tell you that much. Because let me tell you what, she changed his life forever, 100%. I just can't get over the cringy, dirty talk. I can't get over it. It's so bad off. I mean, it is literally just, oh my, I can't. I just can't. I can't. I mean, I know I keep saying that. I'm shell-shocked right now. So that's it. We're going to end this one here at chapter 1, I guess. And we'll go to part 2. I'm scared for part 2. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, what? Does it get worse? I'm sure some of y'all read the whole thing. Let me know in the comment section. What's your favorite part of this? Let me know. Leave your favorite part down in the comment section. Talk to me about it. Give me some feedback, Sofa Squad. We need some trauma bonds over this. Anyways, thank you again, everybody who makes the Sofa Squad possible. Thank you for going through this cringe with me. I couldn't do it without you. And until next time that we meet up at this sofa with this dog who's somewhere in this room along with me, I'll see my squad later.